dysmorphia, bulimia, anorexia. That's what happens after a competition to most of us, especially after the first time, and that's what happens to most women. That's today's video, so stay tuned. Hey everyone, welcome to Miami Life and Fitness. Today is the day after Thanksgiving. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving, ate a lot of turkey or lechon or whatever you ate, and definitely had a lot of either pumpkin pie or I made a ricotta cheesecake, which is to die for. But anyways, hope everybody had a great holidays and spent it well. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about what happens after a competition, especially for those that do a competition for the first time. You really don't know what to expect after the competition when it comes to your body bouncing back, food, hormones, and all this great stuff. So we're going to talk about body dysmorphia and anorexia, bulimia, and things that happen to us mentally, psychologically after a competition. And this is really what a lot of people don't talk about. So recently I spoke to a female who had done a show a few months ago, and during the consultation she opened up to me and said that after the show she just had all this anxiety and wanted to just eat everything and had no self-control when it came to food. And then after the week passed, she saw that she was gaining all this weight back, and then she felt disgusted in herself. And what she resulted to doing after her fits of all this food and her overindulging in all this food was to go to the bathroom, stick her finger down her throat, and throw up. And this is something that occurs quite frequently. A lot of people don't talk about it because it's the ugly side of bodybuilding, and it's the ugly side of the post show and the post effects of what happens to after a person comes off of that strict diet. And especially when you're looking at yourself in the mirror, you look great, you look lean, you look vascular. Especially for women, it's really hard to bounce back, and we have to know how to do that in a proper way and in a healthy way for our body, and especially for our mental state. So this girl, this young lady, resulted into going into these attacks where she just ate whatever she wanted and ate a lot of food because of anxiety and because of, I don't know, just stress and anxiety. And she was just like, oh my God, overwhelmed. And then she would go throw up. So she did this for 2 straight months. She did this for 2 months, eating and then throwing up, eating and throwing up. And this becomes a sickness because we think that we're getting fat. We're anxious about, oh my God, is my body gonna look like that again? Are my muscles gonna fade? Are my muscles gonna go away? What if I can't look like this? What if I can't keep myself lean? And there's a lot of things that go on mentally. And so I wanna talk about this today because I remember when I first did my first few shows, nobody talked about what you're supposed to eat afterwards. But since you are on such a strict diet and a calorie deficit to get as lean as possible, then we kind of love the way that we look, even though it's not healthy for those that get to 10% or under. It's really not healthy, and the body does not like to be that low in body fat. But you know, when you start eating all this food, and I was eating all this food, you know, that week after the show, and then I gained, you know, those 10 or 12 pounds back, and then, you know, you feel like a cow, you feel like a pig, you feel like a moose, you know, then you start feeling fat. And it's not that you're fat, you just saw yourself in this lean vascular state, all your abs coming out, and you know, you felt so good about yourself. Oh my God, I look great. And then all of a sudden you're like, shit, what do I do now? I want to look like that again. So here's the thing. We should have someone guide us or do what people call a reverse diet, but it's slowly getting back into the foods that you need in the amounts that you need, and throwing in there some things that you didn't have before, and throwing in some sweets and some fun stuff, or your cheat meal, whatever you want to call it. But it's slowly doing that little by little and start incorporating all of those foods back, you know, whether it's a little bit of fats, whether it's, you know, your higher amount of carbohydrates, you know, having your fun foods, which is a cookie, a brownie, or some gelato or whatever that may be, but it's slowly incorporating those things in there. So you would want to, once you come off of that and that night you're celebrating, maybe having a couple of cocktails, a couple of glasses of wine, and then having your meal to celebrate after the show, Some people like to have donuts, some people go for pizza, some people go out to a nice dinner. Really all depends. But then the next day you would go right back to the gym, because now is the time that your muscles have been in a deficit and your body has been in a deficit, that now you get back into the gym and you start lifting it. And now is when your body is really going to absorb as much muscle as it can for the next couple of weeks, because during the 2 weeks leading up to the show, you're basically lifting at a lighter weight because you are such low energy, so you lift at a lighter weight. So now you pick up the weight so your muscles can grow and take advantage of those 2 weeks, and then eat your protein and your carbohydrates. So have your regular meals, your regular amount of carbohydrates, add in your fats, whether it's a little bit of aguacate, how do you say that in English, an avocado, or your olive oil or your salmon or whatever. You're going to eat some corvina, sea bass, a little bit of fats in there, and then eat your normal amount of carbs. And if you want to have some fun food throughout the day, then have some fun food. But this does not mean that you're going to eat like a pig for the next 7 or 14 days, because this is when women, or people in general, but especially women, get into trouble. And this is where they actually see their body get in such out of that lean state and that mental state of, wow, I love how I look. And this is where really the trouble begins. And this is where people start going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then the anxiety starts happening, because you see that you're eating all this stuff and you are basically having anxiety. And then you look at yourself in the mirror 7 days later and you're like, wow, I just gained 12 pounds. So it's basically getting back into the diet, slowly adding all your carbohydrates back in, getting right back into the gym. Do not take a week off. Growing as much as you can, adding weight, and then eating your normal carbohydrates, adding your fats, and then having some fun things, nuts, ice cream, cookies, whatever it may be, every now and then. And this way you can still have what you want. You can still have your cravings, still have your sugars, whatever you want to have, but you're not going to the point where you're just eating everything in sight and then feeling so bad about it that you take it to an extreme. And it is very sad, but I know for women it does happen a lot more and a lot often than we even think. And it really it upsets me, because I know that I went through it. I didn't go to that extreme, but I did go through a mental like downward spiral, because you start looking at yourself in the mirror and then it's always like, wow, I just gained weight, I'm fat, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I gotta, and then you basically start freaking out and getting overwhelmed about your physical appearance and your physical look. And then it just becomes something that comes out of vanity. And this is why there are some really beautiful things about the sport, but then there are the ugly sides about the sport. And this is one of them, which is after a show. And so I wanted to really talk about this, because this is something that women face. It's something serious, because it can lead into literally an eating disorder and really become and escalate into a severe eating disorder. So thank God that, she didn't last after 2 months. She found a new coach, and the coach redirected her with food, and so that helped her. But I'm glad that she opened up and told me, because I know that that's really hard for women to say, because some women, they can be judged with that. Oh, how can you do that? Why are you throwing up? Blah, blah, blah. But you know what? You can't judge people, because in our minds, we all deal with things differently. We all have different psychological ways and methods to process our trauma or things that we're going through. And so, it's important to not judge people, because we all go through this, especially when you're competing and you really get super, super lean. So for those of you that have been through one of these eating disorders before, leave a comment below. How did you overcome it? What did you do? And your struggles, because we all have struggles. As we know, we all have struggles and we all have trauma. But if you're having an eating disorder, then this is very important that we try to fix that and address it, so we can become friends with food and address eating properly, how we can manage our food properly. And if you are super lean, just know that it depends on how lean you are. But listen, we may look great, but it's really not healthy, and our body hates, and our body is very uncomfortable when we are under 10% body fat. Again, we look great, but is it worth it? Is it worth it? So that's the end of the video. I just want to talk about something that happens to women and get that out there. So if you like this video, if you found value in the video, then like, share, subscribe, share the video, leave a comment below, let's interact. And if you want a free consultation to join my fitness program, then go to fitbodyboss.com and fill out the questionnaire and your date so you can get a free consultation to see if I'm able to help you. Everyone, have a great week and we'll see you soon.